I want to switch it now and maybe go 180 degrees to your background, because you're a pretty unique guy. You alluded to little bits of this, but tell me how John Lilic in Chiang Mai decides to go to New York City at the Bitcoin Center, which strangely enough was next to Wall Street and the stock exchange, where the early minds were coming there, including the bankers. I'd love to get that thought. That later led to a group of people starting Ethereum. What happened to Ethereum, good or bad? And then what's the current state of what you call Bitcoin and Ethereum parallel financial states, and they matter more today than they ever have before? And we're seeing that today. I think the Ethereum ETF outpaced the Bitcoin ETF last week, and now we're seeing massive treasury companies in Ethereum, including Joe Lubin, who I'm sure you know from the beginning of Ethereum, and now the Ether Machine, which is funded by Pantera, and then Tom Lee, famous Wall Street analyst, is starting his own. And this is becoming a big thing. And of course, we know Solana's going to follow. Your buddy Justin Sun, who's been a guest on the show, was just down at the New York Stock Exchange, I think, to hit the gavel on his Tron treasury company. Not to mention all the institutions are embracing these things, including stablecoins, which Tom Lee reminds everybody are mostly run on Ethereum. I don't know if that's entirely true, but he says that, and it's a great talking point. So I know that's a lot of questions in one, but you're the guy to ask. So take me all the way back. What year was this when you decided to move to New York City, and why?
So we were kind of talking about this off camera, and I hope you don't mind me saying this. I mean, I guess it's public that you've had your ayahuasca and DMT experiences, and I have as well. And yeah, so actually I was in Manila at the time, and I was exposed to DMT, and I was going through a real tough personal, breakup at the time. And in the midst of the DMT experience, I could see my neural pathways shifting. And for whatever reason, it became very clear that I had to go to New York City and get deep into Bitcoin. I think what happened was my subconscious just realized what I had been noticing online, because I did get into Bitcoin in 2013, a little bit here and there. But, BitDev meetups were starting to pop off in New York, and you could see that, New York was one of the hubs. Excuse me. So, I got on a plane, went over there. My brother was living in New York at the time as well.
It's interesting, though, how that psychedelic can sometimes get you to see things you normally wouldn't see. It's like the frontal cortex blocked all that out because, maybe people around, everything, it was like the wrong decision to make from society, but then deep down inside, you knew it was the obvious decision, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate that happened, basically.
Okay.
And then I got to New York, and I met a guy named Nick Spanos.
Yes.
Big fat Greek guy.
I interviewed him on stage at one of the conferences in Dubai, and he's old school, crazy as you like. Yeah, and so he was there.
He was my first mentor in all of this, and he's lost a lot of weight right now. He's doing great, by the way. Nick's doing wonderful. And so he started the Bitcoin Center. And my buddy Austin Alexander, who I think you also know, he was at Kraken for many years. So we all volunteered. It wasn't a job. I wasn't paid anything. I was just volunteering. And it was, this incredible facility that Nick was able to commandeer, 40 Broad Street, right next to New York Stock Exchange. And it was just an open place for talking about Bitcoin. All the early pioneers, Jesse Powell from Kraken came there, the Winklevoss came there. I mean, so many people. And I was just hanging around pretty much every single day helping run the place. I was cleaning up and just, volunteering. And in the course of that, I met lots of Wall Street people. Lots of them. They would just pop in, and it would be, and that's when, and it was a discovery process for me too. So getting into arguments with people and trying to argue for Bitcoin, when really smart Wall Street people would make salient counter arguments that I couldn't defend at the time. That was a tremendous learning curve for me. And yeah, along the way, I met Joe Lubin as well, who later became my boss at Consensus. I heard about Ethereum, and just kind of so many things happened during that time. The Bitcoin Center ultimately, I think, was phenomenal for Bitcoin, particularly in those early days. We had a major moment with Morgan Spurlock, rest in peace, he passed away.
Investment Club. Today, I consider it the best investment that I've ever made. We get 4 projects presented a week by their associated CEOs. Personally, I'm completely blown away by the quality of these projects, and I know of nowhere else where I would be given this same opportunity. Each week that passes, I feel more appreciative of the fact that I'm a member of this group. The vibe was just tremendous. Everybody's on the same wavelength. We just clicked. Everybody listened to each other, enjoyed their company. It was just magical, magical. Take action. Don't take my word for it. Due diligence you need to do. And I really hope that someday down the road I see you in the club. It far exceeded expectations, without question.
Not too long ago, but he did a big feature on us at the time, and that was
like a documentary filmmaker. People know him from the Super Size
Me guy,
where he ate McDonald's every day for a month or two, and
yeah,
and so he did a mini doc on Bitcoin.
Yeah, he came, and it was probably one of the first major events. And then this guy Chris Canuzziari produced it's on Netflix called Banking on Bitcoin. Another great piece, and so yeah, I think the Bitcoin Center. Because, people would come and trade Bitcoin. And so the visuals and the aesthetics were phenomenal. And Nick would spice things up. He's a genius. So he would have us go outside, stand right in front of the stock exchange on the street trading Bitcoin for cash with each other. Just the aesthetics of that were in 2014, right?
I mean, the original exchange was under a tree on that same road.
Correct.
Where they used to buy and sell, I think, the commodity futures or something like that.
Correct, yeah.
Ag futures. So I don't know if that's what Nick was thinking, but they used to do that in the open as well.
We used to have a guy, Alan Stevo, wonderful guy, wore a bow tie. Just incredible orator. He would stand on a little pedestal with a gavel, and it was just like a show, and it was great fun. But yeah, from there I learned about Ethereum, and I started basically volunteering at Consensus, which I did for most of 2015.
Okay.
Until
so you were there at 13 originally at the Bitcoin Center.
Well, I got to the Bitcoin Center February of 2014, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Ethereum ICO was in 14.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was later.
Yeah, actually, I was at the Bitcoin Center January 2014.
Okay.
Yeah. Then the Ethereum ICO.
Did you know that was happening? Were people excited about that, or was it just like, we don't know what's going to happen?
Well, I had already traded shitcoins prior to that.
Okay.
So I got into Quark, which was Bill Still. I don't know if you remember Bill Still. He used to be on YouTube. And anyway, Quark. So before Ethereum, like in 2013 and even before then, people would fork Bitcoin, like Litecoin was the first one, right? Change a few parameters and launch a new coin. Problem with that was the network effects. You'd have to build network effects. And there was some innovation, like Feathercoin came out, proof of stake early on, Next, NXT, and some others. So Quark was one of the things I traded, and I actually made some Bitcoin on that. And then, I was really thinking about, okay, what's the evolution of this going to be? Because you can't keep starting new networks each time you make a coin. And so, when Ethereum came along, it was kind of like, oh, this is a way to generalize it. Right?
A network where other coins could launch on top of it.
Well, potentially, yeah,
right.
yeah.
And
then later at Consensus, one of my former colleagues, this guy named Simon de la Rouvière, he's the one that basically created the token standard. And then things started rolling. But yeah, throughout 2015, volunteered at Consensus. They had a co-working space in Brooklyn, in Bushwick. And then kind of moved into like where they continue to be to this day, this like kind of hipster warehouse thing, 40 Bogart, just off the Morgan stop.
How is Consensus linked to Ethereum? Is like Ethereum the foundation, and then some of the money went to create Consensus? So these were just a separate company that Consensus is that just advances Ethereum issues?
Today, Consensus is not so critical for Ethereum, but back then it was everything. So Joe was one of the founders of Ethereum. And then he left Ethereum and founded Consensus to start building applications for Ethereum.
Okay.
But the thing is, early Ethereum, in my opinion, the management structure at the time was like very dysfunctional. And so Consensus ended up not only building applications, but a lot of infrastructure as well. And then even, so DevCon 0, that was the first DevCon event I didn't go to, but DevCon 1 in London, that was November 2015. That was a pretty seminal event. Even, I think Joe pretty much paid for that, or Consensus did. So even like very early on, probably until 2018, maybe 2019, Consensus was critical. Built a lot of applications, built a lot of infrastructure, developer tools. There was something called Truffle, and it had this integrated developer environment, which was really important. Obviously, MetaMask.
When did MetaMask start?
I think like 2016. This guy Dan Finley and this other guy Aaron Davies. People know him as Kumavis. It's kind of like a hackathon thing that they started hacking together.
Still the most popular hot wallet in the world.
In terms of number of users, maybe, yeah.
Probably still. And
Maybe,
in the beginning days, it was probably the only hot wallet.
Yeah, I mean, it was, well, you know, the wallets back then were a bit clunky. And so the innovation was to have it as a in-browser, you know, experience. And yeah, at the time it was quite innovative, and then, you know, it just sort of grew. And then really the other big catalyst was when they activated MetaMask swaps, which happened in late 2020. So now within your MetaMask wallet, you could swap. And you got to realize even before then, of course, the automated market maker, you know, with Uniswap innovation was tremendous. But before then, we had such a clunky on-chain experience, like Ether Delta, and a lot of respect. I mean, very early, it's hard to build these things, but it was like a tough experience. But anyway, all of those early, so 2015, 16, 17, 2018, just so many things that Consensus built, so many things it funded. It did so many different like spokes, if you will, like spin outs. Most of them failed, but that's how ventures go. And then, that ecosystem started to, the Ethereum ecosystem started to stand up on its own feet, and we started to see tremendous innovation elsewhere. Obviously, in hindsight, the Uniswap revolution was tremendous because it brought on-chain DEX experience to the masses in a way that was really great. And then DeFi summer in 2020.
Yeah.
And with Compound and everything else, and Aave, and you know, and then things just started to rip. And then 2021 we had, you know, pretty monster rally. Obviously, money was real cheap back then. It was all the COVID money and so on.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.